we're ready to start on another page, and I've got my papers laid out here, and I've got my pick tool, and I think I'm about ready. So we have two major flaps. We're going to have a top flap and a bottom flap, and then there's also going to be a pocket here on top of the bottom flap. So we're going to go ahead and start by making sure that the pocket is to the left and right, and we're going to add our top flap. And our top flap is 8 inches by 4.5, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch. So 8 by 4.5. And this is going to go across the top, but I'm turning it upside down so I can see both edges. Okay. And now we have a second flap, and this is going to be applied to the bottom, and this one is 8 inches by 6.5, 8 by 6.5, and it is going to be applied across the bottom. Like so. Okay, and then we have this pocket, which is 9 by 4. So it's 9 inches across and it's 4 inches deep, and you're going to score a 1/2 inch on 3 of the 4 sides. And that's just going to get applied right to the very bottom edge of this flap, of the lower flap. There we go. Okay, so now we have our top flap and our lower flap and a pocket inside the lower flap, okay? So I'm going to wind up putting something in this pocket, like so, and it'll probably be a 5 by 7 insert. So it's going to take up a little bit, it's going to be a little bit wider than what you see here. And let me put this back here so you can see where the edge of the top flap is. But we do want to have something to hold this closed. I don't think, I mean, that's one of the options, is to have it held closed like this. But I think I actually, I'm not sure. I think I'm going to put a magnet here. But I'm thinking about it a little bit, because one of the options is to, and this is not an ephemera card, but use one of my 4x6 ephemera cards and have it slightly, sorry, that's my dog, slightly, she's timing me, slightly overlap the pocket down here. Sorry. Everybody, it's Daphne from Scrap and Create, and we are going to continue working on this page, and we're going to focus on getting the designer elements in. So when I last left, my dog was barking up a storm, sorry about that, and I was trying to think through where I was going to put the magnet. So this is a pocket down here, a flap that goes up, and this is a flap that comes down. It's a large flap with a pocket. And so what I think I've decided to do is place a magnet here, and then I'm going to have a decorative piece like this come down off the top panel. And I'm having a hard time trying to decide what to call these, but I guess it's sort of a flap extension, come down to this location. So I'm going to go ahead and place a magnet here, and then after I get this decorated and do my add-on or my flap extension, we'll add a magnet to the back side of that. So we'll start by just putting a magnet here. And this is going to be one of the last things I cover, just in case I need to adjust the magnet placement. But I definitely want to make sure that the magnet is low enough that when I come back to put a piece of decorative paper over it, that it's easily going to cover the magnet. So that looks about right to me. I don't want it too low. So I'm going to leave that there. And like I said, I'm going to cover it last, just in case I need to adjust it. All right, so let's open things up. And this is the paper that I've selected for the inside. I want to let you know that this is a 8x8. It's from the 8x8 collection. You can use either, but this is just a slightly trimmed down scale. And turns out that I had used part of this pattern for something else. So I didn't really have an 8x8 left for the inside for a large mat. So we're going to go ahead and get that down. I'm going to sit down now that I've got things going. And I just realized I didn't bring my trimmer in here. So if I need to cut anything or trim anything, I'm going to have to take a quick break. I like this pattern really well too, but I wanted to do something a little bit lighter for the photo mats here. And I'm also using this pattern on the top flap. So, I mean this side of the pattern on the top flap. I think it's really pretty. There's lots of opportunities to fussy cut on this pattern. The medallion or any of the, I lost my train of thought. What do you call these? Jellyfish. All right, well, my husband's home this morning, at least for the moment, so hopefully my dog won't be barking at us. All right, these kind of go all different directions, so I'm just gonna switch it around and see. I think I like this, where two of the jellyfish are kind of going down, but they do go in all different directions, so it's not directional really. It's really just a preference. So let's get this in. Okay, lovely. Oh, it's gonna be a good day. Did you see how easy that went in? That's hopefully a sign of things to come. It also means that I got my pocket page nice and square. Okay, and then on the top and bottom flap, I'm going to do some color blocking, and I've only got half of my color block pieces picked out, but I'm going to go ahead and lay it in so it's not floating around. I still need to pick a pattern for over here, but I'm going to go ahead and lay this in now. And I'm just dry fitting to see if it fits one way better than the other. And I don't know why, sometimes it does, so it's always worth flipping it around to check. So I feel like it's been forever since I put anything out. It's been a very busy couple of weeks for us since Creativation. Hopefully come March, I'll get back on track of getting, you know, at least 2 projects out a month. It's been, like I said, a very slow month project-wise for me. So I need to pick up the pace. So after this, the next album I'm going to be working on is Fruit and Flora. And then following that, I'm going to do Farmhouse. And I'm doing it in that order because Farmhouse is not released yet. So even if I wanted to, I can't do it because I don't have it. This one looks like it's going to be a little tight. So yeah, it'll close. I just wanted to test it to see if I could get it to close before I glue it down, and it's going to be fine. It's a little tight, but it's working. Oops. Okay, that looks good. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to set this aside for now because I haven't picked out these, the pattern paper to go on the second half of this. So let's go ahead and close this up, and then we'll work on these 2 flaps. So this cream paper is part of the collection pack, so you always get 1 cream sheet, and that's what I'm using right here. I'll probably use the rest someplace else, I just don't know where yet. And normally I like to slip this just inside the pocket for a couple reasons. One, it makes it smooth to add anything into the pocket. And then I also don't really like to see that black line there, because you're gonna have a line around, you're gonna have a matte line. Sorry, Nala, you can't have that. A matte line around the pocket. My puppy came to visit me and she's going through my scraps. For those of you who watched the last video, you know she's not that much of a puppy if you heard her bark. She sounds really fierce, but she's not. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so I can see into the pocket as I'm placing this. A little bit of a smidge. Make sure my pocket flaps are down. Oh, I should know better. This is why I don't like to work with cream. I'm so messy. And I got a little bit of glue here, so. Well, be that as it may. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. And try not to make the same mistake. Okay. It's always easier to clean black up, but as you can see, I left a little smudge there, so be careful when you're cleaning up your cream if you're using cream. All right, so that's in. So here is the flip side of what we used on the inside. And I'm going to place this here. And it looks like I need to trim this down a little bit. Hey, Nola. Which means I need to take a quick break because, like I said, I didn't bring my trimmer in. But the other thing is I'm trying to decide which way is up and which way is down. And because they're going all different directions, it's really a matter of preference. So this seems to be sort of the standout element on the page. So I'm trying to decide, do I want it on the bottom or on the top? And I think I like it on the top. So I'm going to trim it down off this edge. And I'll be right back in just a minute with my trimmer. I've got this trimmed down now, and I remembered before I glued it in is that we were going to do this last because of magnet placement. So it is trimmed. I'm going to go ahead and ink my edges and set it aside. And then we'll do the top piece. And I want to point out that I'm using powder puff, and this color is mahogany, and we do carry these in our shop, and I really, really like this ink, especially if you are a mini maker. It's so nice not to have to pick up and try to find your application tool, or to have 100 different applicators depending on the color of ink you're using. The applicator's built right in. And I really like these, and they do last quite a while. And they'll do a soft edge because they're spongy. They're not hard like a regular ink pad. All right. And you can use them for stamps as well. Okay, that looks trimmed out just right. And then here is the piece that is going to go, actually I'm going to flip that around, up here. So let's check and see if I've trimmed it right. And it looks good. Okay, so this piece is going to lay here. We've trimmed this out for here, and then we're going to need a piece that's going to go on top so that we can place our magnet. So I've trimmed out a couple of different pieces. I've got the crab, not crazy. And then I've got this piece. And then the alternative is to use a large ephemera card, which looks nice too. It's just a different look. So I'm hemming and hawing here. I'm not sure what I want to do. So at the very least, I can get this in. So let's do that. And looks like I've inked it, so that's good. Am I happy with that? I am. All right, so that's in. Okay, so now the next thing we need to make a decision on is which ephemera piece. So we'll need this just for visual. So do we want to do a large ephemera or something smaller? Like so. And let me put my opposing magnet here so I get some sense of how far down I need to go. So it needs to come down about like that. And I think I like this. So okay, that's far enough. Okay, I think this is what I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm just checking where, so I need to come down about this far because I want to cover that magnet completely behind here. So that looks about right. So I'm just going to put a little mark up here. So that's my little cheat note. So I know I need to come up about that high. Yeah, and that still gives me, I'll still have plenty of paper to cover up the magnet. All right, so now the other thing I need to do is draw a quick line here and here, and that's because I don't want my glue to come down below that line. Okay, got that right. And I just want it centered. I don't really need that, so I just want it centered from here to here. There's my pencil mark. I'm going to use my grid. So I'm just lining it up, and I know this is 4. So 4 is going to come right down to about here. And I'm just, excuse me, eyeballing it. And that looks good. And now I'm just going to use my quick ruler to make sure it's not drifting left or right, and it looks good. So I'm going to press that into place. I'm going to turn it over. And I need a little tag here, and I have enough of this cream cardstock left over that I'm just going to go ahead and trim this out. That's perfect. Okay. And just going to take a little bit off the edge, so it should be, oh, perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue this in, and this is covering, gosh darn it, this is covering the back of the ephemera. Sorry about that, got the dropsies this morning. All right, so that's in. Okay, oops. You guys just let me do that. I need to put the magnet still needs to go under here. Darn it, darn it, darn it. All right, well, I'm just lifting it off, and luckily it's coming off. I still need to place this magnet. Oh my. See, I can't take any time off or I forget how to do this. Okay, there we go. Now, close this and pick that magnet up. There we go. Now I can cover it. Duh! Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you didn't get too far ahead of me. You probably, most of you know already, it's a good thing to watch it before you actually start to do it so that you don't get stuck in these same problems as me. All right, now I'm just going to re-glue this. It tore a little, but not on the visual side, so mostly it just left a trail. My goodness. Okay, here we go again. It doesn't want to slide under because there's still glue here, but I'm going to make it work. It's a little tough because I'm trying not to touch the cream so that I don't get it dirty. I'm just lifting that edge just a little. Some glue there or something. Let's see if I can't get it up with my magic. There we go. All right, so that's in. So now it'll stay shut. Okay, so now we're good to go for adding this piece. And I think I decided I wanted it this way. We're almost finished. And we still have to pick out a pattern for this, and I'm not sure what I want yet, so might take me a minute. Okay. Okay, so that's looking good. All right, so I had trimmed out, this is one of the cut aparts on the 12 by 12 collection pack, and so I trimmed this out and then just made it into a photo mat that's going to fit right in here. This will close, and that is pretty much the end of this page, with the exception of coming back to trim out this piece and this piece. And so I'll be back in a few minutes with something picked out for this. Okay, I picked these two pieces, and they actually happen to come from larger pieces. So these are little scraps that were left behind that I'm going to color block with. And then they weren't quite wide enough, so I'm going to add this little strip in between. So as usual, what we're going to do is we're going to lay down the strip first, and then if we need to trim anything, we'll trim something off the larger piece because it's easier to handle in the trimmer. So this size of this strip here just happens to be a 1/2 inch, and that was just an easy thing to trim out. So there's a 1/2 inch on either end, and then we're going to add this. We're going to leave a small strip of black in between so we have a border around the strip. And then we'll add this, and there'll be another border around, and it looks like I need to trim this just a little bit, but we'll get this strip in first. And then we'll trim down the outside piece last. Okay, So now that that's in, we can locate this one, and it looks like I need to take a little bit off. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it. It looks like about 1/8 of an inch, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Yep. Yep, right at 1/8 of an inch is what we're going to take off. Yep, looks good. I'm going to add some ink to the edge I just trimmed. And we are going to repeat the process on the top flap. All right, so that's done. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to flip it around so I can get a better view. Make sure this is directional. Make sure your paper is going the right direction. And then we are going to lay down this trim piece first, and then we'll add the other color block. And I don't know for sure, but I think I'll have to trim the blue one as well on the top. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, looks like it. I think it's going to be about the same, 1/8 of an inch. Or just under. Okay, let's see. Yes, that's it. Add our ink. Make sure you're going the right direction. Since it's nearly square, it's very easy to put it in upside down. And remember, I've got the whole thing turned around so I can see my edges. Okay, let's do a quick walkthrough. There's the top. Remember, our magnet is placed behind this ephemera. That's why we added it, so we would have an extension over the pocket, and that way our magnet wouldn't have to pass through anything that's in the pocket. And then this opens down. So there is the end of this page. And I think it looks beautiful. I'm a little disappointed about this, but I'm going to see if I can't get that off with something else besides my eraser. And that's it for this page. I'll be back soon.